All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to
Bare
an
Knuckle.
individual set to throw down with a veteran on the BKB circuit, Ryan Jett, and does so later on this month. Very excited to have Jesse Ronson on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. He's engaged in some Bare Knuckle MMA before, but getting into the Bare Knuckle boxing realm and everything like that. And very excited to have Jesse on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Last workout of the week coming up after I'm done this interview, and then get the rest for you know the rest of Saturday and Sunday, and back at it for one final week, which is the taper week, and then weight cut week and fight week.
And I guess how did you come to, sign with BKB here? Because I saw you had a post a bit ago talking about how MMA has chewed you up and spit you out, so to speak. And I guess with deep thought and consideration have, led to this bare knuckle boxing foray on September 27th. I guess
Yeah,
when did bare knuckle boxing? Yeah.
so the thing at MMA, the promoters and well, not the promoters, mainly the matchmakers, sometimes the promoters in MMA are just absolute shitbags, and that's the case. You think with everything that I've done in Canadian MMA, it wouldn't be too hard to get me a fight in a promotion like BTC or Unified or even Samurai that happened yesterday, right? They all have shows relatively close, and the only one that really tried, in my opinion, because I've been out since last November when I fought Millender, but trying to wait around for the Gamebred title fight because I was promised the title shot, and that just kept getting delayed and delayed, and then I just find like it was it's just not going to happen. I don't think Gamebred's coming back. So I was looking for an MMA fight and coming off an injury, so I was like, hey, I will lower my price if you get me a reasonable opponent. I understand that you might not care or you might not like what the fans think about it, but if you want me to fight somebody tough, you got to pay me what you pay them. If not, then get me a reasonable opponent, and I'll fight super super cheap. And the money that I threw out there, like I was making more money in 2011, 2012 fighting. I just wanted to fight to get one more fight on my record and just a little money in my bank account. But yeah, so I reached out to BTC, and he just flat out said no. The matchmaker flat out said no. I was like, what do you mean? Why? I'm like, you haven't announced any fights yet. He's like, nah, we don't want you. It's in Niagara. We're going to fill it up with blah, blah. We don't want you. And I was like, okay, that's pretty lame. You don't want the pound for pound Canadian best fighter on your card and, somebody that's relatively local. He's like, nah. So I reached out to Samurai. Samurai was very interested. He said, yeah, we'll find you somebody. Just give me a couple of weeks. What weight do you want to fight at? And then I gave it to him. A couple of weeks goes by, and he goes, "Yeah, sorry, I haven't looked into it. I'm filling up the French card, like taking care of my French guys first because they sell the tickets." And I was like, "Absolutely, do what you got to do." So I kept hitting him up every week because he kept announcing fights like Gleiko Franca versus Johan Lanes, Dufour versus this guy, then that guy dropped out, and then Dufour versus this guy, then that guy, and he kept announcing fights. So I was like, "Hey, have you found anything for me yet?" And he just stopped answering me,
Mm.
and it was super annoying. So I was like, hey, man, don't worry about it. Like, I can tell you're really, really focused on the French guys because you're finding all of them fights and replacement fights, but I could tell you haven't even bothered because you haven't even offered me any names or anything like that. So I was like, just don't worry about it. The only person that legitimately tried for me was Alex Caparici in Unified. I asked for September 27th, and he's like, oh, that would be huge in Toronto. The card's full right now. And I was like, dude, MMA cards, they always have, you'll have 15 fights and then come fight week, you'll be down to six. So I'm like, there's one
Mm-hmm.
thing you can count on me is that I won't pull out. If I can walk and I'm still breathing, I'm showing up to fight day. I don't care what's wrong with me. He goes, yeah, 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 I know you don't pull out, but it's like the card's full. Let me talk to Sonny, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets back to me, he goes, how about October? I was like, no, 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 I got to fight in September, man. I need to fight in September because I want to fight in December. I got to get these two fights in. He goes, okay, hold on. Then he starts throwing out names, and I was like, "Look, dude, I'll give you the same thing that I told everybody else. I'm like, if you want me to fight somebody good, you got to pay me what you pay them. If you want me to fight somebody, mediocre, then I'll fight for the cheaper." So then he starts offering me names like Simon Marcus, and I'm like, you know what? That's a fight that I would take. That's reasonable because he's the two-time Glory kickboxing champion. He's no slouch, 2-0. But everybody, I was like, you know how that fight's going to go. I'm going to take him down in 20 seconds, and I'm going to tap him out because I don't care how much he's grappling. There's no way that he's going to get the amount of experience that I have and comfortability in that area of the sport that quickly. And I'm like, that fight's going to end in a minute. And then he goes, okay, well, I get that. And he's like, well, that kind of sucks. And I'm like, yeah, the thing is, you won't have to pay me what you pay Simon Marcus. I'm like, that's a fight that I would take for cheap. Even though he's only 2-0, I'm like, that's what hurts me the most is that he's 2-0. The only thing that is a benefit to that was that he's a two-time glory kickboxing champion. And he goes, well, how about Hunter Lee? And I'm like, another guy who's 3-0. I'm like, what is doing that? Like beating this kid will do nothing for me. Right. So it's like I fight the kid that's 3-0. I beat him. Oh, congratulations, big bad body snatcher, 45 pro MMA fights. You beat Hunter Lee that's 3-0. Congratulations. Good job. Or I lose to the kid that's 3-0 and it goes, oh wow, okay, you're washed up. It's time to hang him up. You're done. You just lost to a guy that's 3-0. And I'm like, yeah, that the fight's got to make sense. So ultimately, the only one that was really pulling was Alex Caparici. And then I got offered a contract from Bare Knuckle Boxing, not BKFC, but the BYB promotion, because my kickboxing coach, Leo Laux, actually grew up and trained with a 30% owner of the company. He goes, hey, would you be interested in doing this? I know you're back to training and wanting to fight. And I was like, absolutely. I need to fight right now. I don't care what it is. MMA is not doing me any favors. I can't get any fights in the States. My manager's not finding me anything overseas or anything big. So I'm like, I'll do whatever I can. And then, sure enough, like 20 minutes after he sent me that message, the owner of BYB called me. And he goes, I'm going to set you up with my matchmaker. Let's figure out a deal. So we figured out a deal. And later that day, I signed to Bare Knuckle Boxing. And then, of course, the day after that, I talked to Sherry, the owner of BTC Fights, and I go, hey, I just signed with BYB. I really wanted to fight on your September card, blah, blah. She's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? I would have gotten you a fight. And I'm like, well, the thing is, I told Woody a couple of months ago, and he just flat out said no. And I've been, keeping on messaging him, telling him, like, your card's going to fall through. Just get me on there. I'll fight you. And he just kept telling me no. And she got upset about that because she's like, well, and like, we'll always have room for you on BTC. You're our champion. She's like, you should have just went to me. And I'm like, I did that before when I fought Robert Hale, and he got super pissed off and he said it was unprofessional. Don't do it again. So, out of respect for him, which I don't know why I decided not to do that. But then when I talked to her after I signed that deal, she said I should have just came to her directly and I would have been fighting on BTC because I really don't want to give up MMA because it's something that I've been working on for 20 years. But because of these shitty matchmakers and them not even trying for me, I had to. Like in order to keep, make money and keep going, I had to switch over to bare knuckle boxing, and so that's what I'm doing now.
I mean, so much information there. I guess one of the things that really like struck me was the fact that there wasn't that BTC offer to have you on one of their cards. I would think that anytime you would want to compete in that cage, there would be a certain eagerness just because you've been so demonstrably successful with them and everything like that. So the bare knuckle boxing move was more a function of just like, this is like, I guess my best present option available just because the MMA landscape is a little, I guess, dicey in a certain sense, like at least in terms of getting a matchup that's going to behoove you in a certain sense.
100%. Yeah. So everybody said the same thing. It didn't matter if I talked to Adam Asenza or the guys in Montreal or whatever. They're like, why isn't BTC getting you a fight? You're their champion. They should want you on that card. I'm like, talk to the matchmaker, man. He just flat out said, no, not happening. And even when I lowered my price to the point where that would only hurt me because if I tried to go back, they'd be like, well, you said you'd fight for this much then. Like, why would we pay you more now? Like, I only hurt myself in the end by doing what I did. And everybody was shocked that they couldn't, that he wouldn't, not that he couldn't, that he wouldn't get me a fight. And then it was even more shocking when I talked to, I love Sherry to death and I love BTC. And she's, like I said, she helped me out with Robert Hale because again, when I fought Robert Hale, Woody wasn't going to get me a fight. He's like, nah, I'm not doing it. Too bad, not happening. So I went over his head and I messaged Sherry and she forced him to get me a fight and he didn't like that. So I should have done that again, but I didn't. And because of that, I'm not in MMA anymore. But like you said, the bare knuckle boxing is happening because I have no other choice. I still want to fight. Fighting's pretty much everything that I know and everything that I do. And I got a bunch of fights left in me before I call it quits. And this is just, I'm getting paid a lot more than what I would local MMA and some big MMA organizations. So I couldn't really turn it down. And, boxing's probably the best part of my stand-up game. So it just made sense to make that jump. The only issue is I signed a 4-fight deal. So I can't fight anywhere else even if MMA does come back, I can't because I got a 4 fight, 18 months and 4 fights is what they said. If I can bang out those 4 fights sooner, sure. But bare knuckle, broken hands, cuts, everything else. So we'll see. But with how sour the taste that I have in my mouth for MMA, like uh, the only place I would go back to is Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA if they came back. Other than that, um, it would have to be a stupid amount of money that no local MMA promotion would pay. Um, except for Sherry. Like if Sherry and Irene from BTC asked me, like, "Hey, we could really use you on this one. We've done you fair for sure." But I'll, me going back to MMA now in Canada after like I've reached out to every promotion, and it's just they all pretty much said nah. Unless I was going to sign a multi-fight deal, which is understandable on their behalf. Like I understand how the politics work, but for them to just turn their back on me like that, um, and then I loved every second of watching every one of their cards fall apart the last 2 weeks. I was like, yeah, that wouldn't happen if Ronson was there. Like I'd still be there. I'd still be on there, but they're all scrambling, doing their thing. But that's it. Like, I'm done with MMA, hung up those gloves forever. Like I said, the only people that'll get me back would be Sherry and Irene if they asked me. And I was available because BYB was in between contracts or something.
That's just so wild to me to think of that. Like that has to be. I mean, it seems like you're in good spirits about it and looking towards the next thing, but that would have to be such a disheartening thing. Like, I mean, I guess maybe I'm projecting. Like, I feel like I even feel disheartened almost on your behalf. I mean, you have so many accolades across so many Canadian MMA circuits over so many years now. It seems wild that they wouldn't, factor you into the picture a little more.
Right? So many accolades, all these belts, all these championships. But yeah, no, it's they could give a shit. It's like what? And all the fighters that I talk to and other coaches like, why won't they get you? It's like it makes more sense to put you on this Toronto card or this Niagara card. Like, dude, you're a big name. You're the pound for pound #1 ranked guy in Canada at welterweight and middleweight for some reason. And it's like you're on a 7 fight win streak, 7 finishes. You're in line for a bare knuckle title. Like your name is still very relevant. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like the guys that I asked to fight, they said, nah, it costs too much money to bring them in. And then sure enough, they're bringing those guys in for Adam and Clay to fight. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought you said it was too much money to bring these guys in to fight. Nah, but you know what I mean? And then I see like Samurai, they're bringing guys in from Brazil, France, wherever. I'm like, don't tell me it's too much money to bring guys in. Like, you literally found 6 guys for Dufour to fight in the span of 2 weeks. I'm like, if you don't want me, you don't want me. Don't just leave me hanging on by a thread. Like, yeah, it's very sour, and I don't want to waste this interview just shitting on Canadian MMA because Samurai did some wonderful things for me. Uh, Sherry and Irene for BTC did some wonderful things for me. That's about it. That's all the only nice things I can say about BTC right now. But yeah, that's I love MMA and I can't do it anymore because of these shitty matchmakers.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not trying to like create a pile-on effect either. I guess to
Yeah.
your point, I think it's just one of those things where I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you follow-up questions, just because it strikes me
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah. No,
so surprising
no,
and everything. But I mean, even with like the game bred piece, I mean, is that more of like a thing where you're just like, what's the expression, like reading through the tea leaves or whatever? Like, is it almost like you're just making the inference that it doesn't seem like they're going to be coming back, or has someone expressly told you that from the promotion? Because I saw you had a post talking about how they were looking for fundraising and aiming for September, but it's September now, so yeah.
right. So yeah, the problem I'm going to go back a little bit on your follow-up questions is that I just get really hung up because I'm very, very frustrated and angry with Canadian MMA and how they can just like I don't want to be like, oh, I'll leave a legend like me hanging. Like I'm still
But
down
yeah,
to fight. People still want to watch me. It bugs me how they would just be like, nah, fuck it. Um, but as for Game Bread, we were supposed to fight in February, but then they pushed it to March. And then after March, I was like, hey, what's going on with March? Is it still going on? Nope, not happening. We're going to look for June or July. I'm like, perfect. Started training for June or July. And then Masvidal won't won't run a show unless he can be there and do all the it's his show. I get it. But then he Nate Diaz, if you remember when he was doing that Russian tough in Thailand or whatever, he got jumped. His whole team got jumped or whatever. So Masvidal went over there. And then I got slightly injured. So I was like, oh, fuck, I got to slow down, whatever. It's perfect timing. And then I started messaging Dean Toole, who is the CEO and matchmaker for Gamebred. And he goes, look, dude, we're doing some fundraising. So we're not going to do one-offs anymore. We're looking to get enough money piled up. So this way we can announce a set schedule, whether it's starting in September, whatever. We're going to be like, okay, we have a show September, December, February, April of next year. He's like, we want to bang off like an entire year's worth of shows instead of just doing one-offs and, piecing it all together. I'm like, oh, I completely understand. Just let me know when everything's going well. And he goes, with the way things are going, he's like, everything's going well. It should be September. So I started messaging him when I was getting geared up to, train for a September fight. And he goes, look, man, everything is going well. It's just a lot more difficult than we thought it would be. We're not getting as much money as we thought. I was like, I thought you said it was going well. And he goes, there's a difference between it going well and it going well. And I was like, all right, I don't understand, but sure. And then all the other people that I've talked to, like different interviewers like you and other fighters and even other promotions like matchmakers, promoters are under the belief that Gamebred's done. At least this year, they may come back for one or two shows next year, but I know how Dean Toole operates. He's very efficient. He's very smart. He got island fights in the if you want somebody running your show, it's Dean fucking Toole. I'll tell you that much. He's the man, and he's very efficient. And I know if Gamebred comes back, it's not just going to be for one show, unless George is willing to drop a ton of money on it. He wants to go, we're going to do 3 shows this year, unless you just want to do a one-off mega show. But in that case, I had the BYB guys write in the contract that I get an out because it was for the title. I know exactly how much money I'm going to get. I don't know who I'm going to fight, but I said, I'll only sign this 4-fight deal if you give me an out where if Gamebred does come back, I can fight for them for the title. And they're like, we'll give you that one out. You can fight for the title, and then you got to come back to us. And I was like, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, because BYB, the Bare Knuckle Boxing, isn't paying as much as the Gamebred title fight. It's close, but I'd still like to be a world champ, bare knuckle, Canada's first bare knuckle champion of any kind, whether it's MMA or boxing, and make the money that goes along with it. So I do have that one out, but that's the only out I got out of that 18-month deal. So we'll see what comes next year. But I need to stay busy. I need to stay. I don't know what to do with myself if I'm not training. And it's been super exciting getting back to boxing and just doing a lot of boxing training. I thought I would be a step behind, but the way my skills have come back, because I started with boxing way, way, way back. That was my first thing I started with as an amateur. It's just phenomenal. I love it.
And I mean, to your point of pursuing bare knuckle championships in any of these big promotions, like I mean, we've done interviews for years, and like you've mentioned BKFC Intrigue a time or two, and I mean, BKB is a massive brand in the industry as well, and I feel like you're booked against an opponent that'll really, I guess, behoove those title aspirations in a big way, just because Ryan Jett has fought some champion caliber guys and even champions outright, like guys like Sam Liera and Cub Hawkins, Martin Raffel, like a really deep resume in bare knuckle. So I guess just would probably serve your broader ambitions of getting to contend for a bare knuckle title sooner rather than later.
Yes, 100%. So that you look at Ryan Jett, he's 4-7 or 5-7 in MMA, right? Not a very good MMA record. He's 4-5 in bare knuckle boxing, not a very good record, but he lost to Lira twice, the 165-pound champ twice. He lost to, I think you said Hopkins or whatever, who was who was the champion in my weight class. They actually fought for the title, and he lost to him. Like out of his 5 losses, I think 3 or 4 of them are to actual champions or former champions in BYB. So it's like I go out there on September 27th and I make a statement and I finish Ryan Jett in the first round, making it 8 wins in a row, 8 first round finishes across MMA, bare knuckle MMA, box, whatever. It would be hard pressed not to give me an immediate title shot in December. They need new guys. They need fresh blood. A Canadian that's never won a title before, or even I don't know if any Canadians have ever fought for a bare knuckle title other than Jade Masson Wong. She fought for the BKFC title, but still, to get out there and do that, like it's just huge. And Canada, I got more support for bare knuckle boxing than I ever did for all my UFC fights. Like people are like, holy shit, bare knuckle, that's gangster as hell, dude. Like people are like random people are giving me like cash donations. Like, dude, that's just gangster. Like, take this. And I was like, do you want me to, you don't want a picture? You want to shout out? They're like, nah, dude, whatever can help. He's like, I just want to watch that shit. That's never happened to me for MMA or UFC or anything like that. Even when I beat Nicholas Dalby, you know, people loved it. I got like 500 likes, but it's still like I wasn't getting the support and messages and people coming together for me like they are now for bare knuckle boxing. It's ridiculous. So yeah, put a smackdown on Ryan Jett, who is no joke. He's a seasoned veteran. Even though he's only got 9 fights, he's a veteran, but he fights dirty. I fucking love it. He's a dirty fighter. He's safe. He is tough. He's hard to finish. I think he's only been finished one time, so they're not making it easy for me. And I just want to go out there and demolish this guy so I can, give me the fucking strap and add to my collection over here because I don't know if you've seen the BYB belts. It's the original belt from like 1880 and it's like a sash. It's not, you can't even call it a belt. It's a sash, and it's got like, oh, it's very unique. I've never seen anything like it, and I want it hanging on my wall.
Yeah, I mean, that Police Gazette Diamond Belt has such a rich history. I mean, the deepest
Yeah,
lineage of any combat sports title around. So, I mean, that would be an incredible one to add to what's clearly a crowded mantle there for you.
yeah. There's no room over there, and I'm not about to buy a new one, but it would be perfect to just hang right across the wall. But I can't turn around. But I have my UFC jersey here, but there's this nice empty space that I can put it right there. And anytime I sit at my desk, I just look up. You're a world fucking champion, man. Let's go.
And this might be an almost impossible question to answer because it's ultimately like trying to figure out the perspectives of the people expressing this to you, but talking about how much more support you're getting in bare knuckle versus in MMA. Like, do you think that maybe speaks to a certain, I guess, oversaturation component with MMA that some people have talked about in the last like couple years, few years? And while bare knuckle has its traditions, over 100 years ago, as we were talking about with the Police Gazette belt, like the modern iteration of it kind of represents something maybe like a little more new or fresh to some people. Do you think that's where that sentiment comes from in your estimation?
100%. So the thing is, people don't look at MMA as MMA. They go, "Oh, UFC? Oh yeah, I watch UFC. I don't watch MMA." They don't know MMA. Like just like people don't know professional boxing. Like name another fighter on the card of Canelo Crawford tonight. You can't. You just can't. Whereas UFC has just been ramming show after show down your throat. There's no stars. There's no standout anything. And I think like when they did the percentages, like 59 or 60% of the fights last year in UFC alone went to a decision. It's getting boring. People are fighting safe because they're not making enough money. So they need that show and win. And it just sucks. You turn on the UFC, like even me, I'm a student of the game. I consistently watch MMA and everything. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people fighting on this card? Like, I don't even know any of them. And I have to watch some of the fights. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy, yeah, nah, pass. You know what I mean? So you look at bare knuckle boxing or even bare knuckle MMA, but bare knuckle boxing, it's like people. You go to a bar, there's a fight that happens. Everybody stops what they're doing, like, oh my God, street fight, like, and they watch it. It's like 2,000 fucking people, right? But now this isn't you're in a ring. People get excited for bare knuckle boxing because it's the closest thing to something that they've experienced, literally that just happened. Like you and me, we could go to a bar right now or tonight and watch a street. You'll see the excitement. So it's like people get that level of excitement. It doesn't matter who it is. They know somebody's getting fucking hurt. And then with the amount of talk that's going around, like Mike Perry, Jeremy Stevens, and then you just watch highlights of bare knuckle boxing going on. Doesn't matter if it's BYB or BKFC, like people are getting put down. It's extreme violence. There's blood. Like 90% of the fights are ending in finish. And if they're not ending in finish, you can actually tell somebody's been in a fight because their face is swollen, they need stitches, their hands are broken or whatever. Like you look at an MMA fight that goes to a decision, sometimes guys aren't even breathing heavy. They're just holding on to each other. They figured out a way to make it boring, whereas you can't be boring in BYB BKFC. It's like you have to toe the line, aka they make you stand face to face. Go. You're within fight range already. It's just a level of excitement that everybody loves to watch, and it's just when you look at an honorable fight, it's like, oh, just throw hands. Like even in the street, people get angry when you throw kicks and grapple and whatever. Like just punch, but it's just there's something that everybody. It's just like deep in our lineage to just fisticuffs. You know what I mean? Put the hands back and fisticuffs like men. And yeah, it's just you can't you can't not be excited to watch. It doesn't matter who it is. You don't even know. It's like, well, what are we watching? Oh, it's a bare knuckle boxing fight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Put it on. Let's watch. everybody's, doesn't matter who it is, your grandmother, it draws the eyes to it.
Yeah, it's such an incredible sport. One I certainly have quite the affinity for. It's definitely one of the bigger beats that I find myself covering regularly. But I guess I kind of thought to tie a couple things together here because on your Anthony Njokuani fight, like the broader card, there was a plan to have Mandel Nalo fight on that card, which ended up not coming to fruition per se. But I saw you had a post talking about just how much of a beast Nalo is and netting a UFC contract recently. Like, what are your thoughts on Mandel Nalo securing that UFC contract offer recently?
It's about time. I mean, Mando Nalo's been one of the best fighters. He is without a doubt one of the best fighters I have ever trained with. And that was back in the day at Parabellum. Like such a nice guy, such a humble dude, was not interested in killing anybody, just interested in helping everybody because he goes, if I help you and you get better, next week when I come here, you'll make, excuse me, you'll make me better. I'm like, I have that same mindset in the gym. Such a super humble guy. And everybody that I've ever talked to about Mandel says such a super nice guy, like deserves way more than what he's gotten. It's about time he caught his break because he's killed everybody. And what is he, 36 now? And finally, like he's breaking the mold because it's like the UFC doesn't sign people after 34 and he's 36 and got signed. It's just about time. Now, the thing is with the Gamebred fight, had he gotten through the airport, he would have been fighting for a title too because he would crush somebody. The only issue is that he fucked up at I can't remember the immigration, whatever it is. They're like, hey, do you have a like what are you going to Florida for? He goes, oh, I'm going to fight. And they're like, oh, do you have a visa for that? And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he pulled out his Bellator visa, so they wouldn't let him get on the plane.
Mm.
Instead of it's like, because I didn't have a visa when they asked me, they're like, hey, what are you going to Florida for? I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go train and relax. You know what I mean? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead. You know what I mean? Whereas
sure.
he said, oh, I'm going to fight. And they're like, oh, well, if you're going to fight, you're going to need to show us some, a B1, like a P1, B1, whatever. They're like, oh, what are you fighting for? Oh, Gamebred Bare Knuckle. Well, this says you work for, Bellator. We can't let you in and fight for this. Like, it was just a whole fuck up. And I was like, oh shit, man. Like, so having talked to Mandel about that afterwards, he goes, yeah, knowing that, I would have probably just said, yeah, I'm just going to Florida. It's Florida. Leave me alone. Like, I'm going to the beach, right? They can't really stop you unless you're, Michael Jordan levels of famous. And they're like, hey, what are you going over here for? And you say, not to fight. And then they
Yeah,
pull up a
yeah,
poster
yeah.
saying, yeah, it looks like you're going there to fight. But if it's a situation like that, then obviously they're going to get you a visa for it. But it was just, momentary lapse of judgment on his part because he would have been on a completely different trajectory had he fought that bare knuckle fight. But I always firmly believe that Mandel belonged in the UFC before, like he was in Bellator. He should have been in the UFC back then. Again, it's weird how people's roads go and whatnot, but I have very, very high expectations of Mandel, of carrying the weight of Canada, just like Mike Malott and Jazz, Charles Jourdain, like, but Mandel is like that. That tips the scales in our favor, like Canadian favor of like putting us back on the map in the UFC. When I know that he's involved in the UFC now and fighting, just because how good he is, and I know how good he can make us look.
Very well said, and I wholeheartedly agree. And I feel like we're on a similar wavelength. So I was going to ask for your thoughts on Charles Jourdain's upcoming UFC Vancouver fight. Like, obviously, you guys were supposed to have that like champ versus champ fight in TKO many moons ago. But what are your thoughts on his Davy Grant fight coming up on October 18th at that UFC Vancouver card?
That should be a great fight for Charles. So he's coming. He just had a kid. He's in dad mode now. He's been off for a little bit. Davy Grant's older. I think he's 38. They have a similar record. Davy Grant's a banger. And Charles is just a younger, faster. This will be it because some fighters they have a kid and it changes them. Like you look at BJ Penn. BJ Penn was the best in the world. He started having kids and he couldn't fight anymore. There's a lot of fighters like that where it motivates some people and then others it doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see what Charles shows up. But based off of what I'm seeing on his Instagram and everything else, it's still the same Charles Jourdain. So this should be a showcase fight. Like, hey, welcome back. Here's a veteran everybody knows, highlight reel this guy. And I feel that Charles is going to do that. I think he's at Bazooka Joe's right now training. So he's definitely taking it serious. And, to have a newborn kid to be able to step away from him and put the training in, some guys can't do it. It's just difficult for them, but he's doing it. And I hope he uses that pent up anger and aggression and, like missing his kid to his advantage because I feel again, Charles Jourdain, he's not the most at 45, he wasn't going to do anything, in my opinion. But at 35, I think he's got a good chance just based on because he fought the majority of his career at 45, just his hips and whatnot. I can't see anybody really out cardioing him. Nobody's going to outstrike him. Nobody's going to outflash him. They may be able to out wrestle, but like who at 35 is a real standout grinder wrestler? I don't know. So I think he'll do well. He'll definitely get top 10. And uh, this fight in Vancouver, I'm very excited because I feel like the flying scissor knee, the Air Jourdain is coming back.
Yeah, it's exciting times for Canadian combat sports. And I mean, you're talking about how much like the boxing piece was like the big part of your stand up game over the years you always felt. I'm wondering how much you're curating this camp in a specific way. Just obviously, like, I think people have bare knuckle specific preparations they get into in certain techniques. Some people don't necessarily go that route, but even I guess the unique consideration to the competitive space, just how compact that mighty trigon is. Like, are you doing anything specific in this camp to account for any of these things?
Yeah. So at Adrenaline, we have a small ring. So what I do is I set up ropes and I split the ring in half and turn it into a triangle. So the triangle that I've been training in is actually smaller than the trigon.
Mm.
And my training partners hate it because they're like, "Man, I can't go anywhere in the ring with you, let alone the freaking triangle." Like I do my best fighting in a phone booth when it's just hand when there's so the majority of this actually all of this training camp has been, you look at a puzzle. If we were to break this down into puzzles, so this is like kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, dirty wrestling, jujitsu, ground fighting, cage work. All essentially what we're doing is we're taking everything we know from all those and eliminating them. So it's like I couldn't show off my boxing skills, head movement, angles, and prowess in MMA because people would grab me. They would take me down. They would force me to the cage or they would throw kicks. So it's eliminating all of those fears and all those factors from all of the other disciplines. So it's like now when people level change, I don't need to bite because I know they're not shooting anymore. I don't care. Punch me in the body. That's all you can do. You can't kick me in the body. You can't take me down. You can punch me in the body. So it's like they want a level change. How can I take advantage of that without giving them an opening, without dropping my hands? You know what I mean? I can step in there. Yeah, sure, they can grab me and they can dirty box, but it's like, what can I do to eliminate, like, take all my other skills in these areas and eliminate so it's just eliminating all the other shit and making the stuff that I know that much better. And after 1 week, it was like my coaches, my training partners were like, "Is this really Jesse Ronson? Because you weren't this good last week." And it's been like that every single week. And even like my wrestling coach who loves doing striking stuff with me was like, "Dude, you're not biting on level fakes anymore. You're not biting on feints or I was like, "Why? I know you can't shoot on me. You can't kick me. I understand the range of hands better than feet and everything. Like I understood range well at MMA, but now it's just a next level thing. So training in that smaller space and then using all of my experience that I have from everything else to if in effect make my boxing better and more dangerous. It's just been why haven't I done this a long time ago?
Yeah, I think you're perfectly suited for it. Like when I saw the announcement, I was like, oh, his fighting style jives perfectly with this. So I'm super excited for this September 27th fight against Ryan Jett. And I think it's such a perfect fit for your skill set, Jesse. But I figured I'd give you the floor if you had a final parting thought you wanted to kind of add as we're wrapping up here on Bare Knuckle Bowker. I very much appreciate the time today, man.
No, it's new because it's been forever since I've had a boxing fight. Like my first 10 amateur fights were boxing fights, and that's how I got the nickname the Body Snatcher because of just how relentlessly aggressive I was, and I couldn't be touched. Like I remember when I first started, coaches like Fitz the Whip Vanderpool, world champion, was like, this guy's got to have more fight. He's got to have more fights than what he done. They're like, no, man, he literally just started training 6 months ago. And he's like, nobody attacks the body. Nobody moves their head. Nobody has that footwork or angles like this guy does. And people didn't understand why I didn't stick with boxing back then and just be a boxer. But it's exciting to get back there. And I'm nervous because of how excited I am to finally get to showcase, you know, what my striking skills can potentially look like without having to worry about being taken down or held against the cage or, wrestle fucked or whatever. Things that I've, spent the last 10, 15 years. Like I'm a first degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Well, might as well throw that away, right? Like that, the certificate I have on the wall back there that gives, I was like, what's the point of that? Like I spent a lot of time trying to, stick to the MMA stuff, but it's like, I feel like I haven't lost a step. Like I've been training boxing for this whole 20 years, and it's finally going to showcase. And like I said, I'm nervous to 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 really get that recognition and excitement. People going, "Wow!" Like that's what I feel like September 27th is going to be like. And I literally wish it was next week, just so I could get it done and over with. Because it's like the thoughts that are just racing through my head. Like I just want to get in there and I just want to do it. It's no, you must wait, son. Wait.
No, I mean, as a spectator, I have that similar sentiment to wanting to, see this fight. But yeah, it's going to be a great one in Salamanca, New York, BKB 46. Definitely one of the big intriguing fights on that card for my money. And it's always good getting to talk to you, Jesse. So again, to
Mhm.
reiterate, thank you for the time and for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. And yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out this fight. But until then, you have a good rest of your weekend, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.